Welcome to the Journal. It's your boy, Quentin.
And I'm Sheffy. We have a lot of fun and exciting stories for you to experience today. Today we're going to look into the world of retirement and see how one man has been treating himself since retiring. It is great as well we made it. After that, we will see why Magic Gathering is the best card game of all time.
Afterwards, we'll look into the world of barbering, venture into the realm of Excalibur Comics, and listen to tales from legendary journalist Ted Barris. All this and more here on the Journal. Sheffy, do you ever think about retirement?
What do you mean?
Retirement. It's like skipping work, but you don't have to show up at all.
Does that really make sense?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I do think about retirement all the time, right now.
And it used to be very intimidating. Oh my God, I'm not doing that. But now I wake up and I just, I look at the sun, I look outside, and every day belongs to me. Every day I get to do what I sort of want to do. So I'm taking some courses at Ryerson, I go for walks, I meet people for lunch, I go see a movie, I talk to some of my retired friends and we deal some of the issues of retirement. And I just feel the concept of going into that office every day, sitting in my office at my desk, answering emails and having other people's issues put to me to help them resolve and to achieve something, it just doesn't work for me anymore. So once you step away from it and you kind of have a feel of the possibilities and you start to indulge those possibilities, I do not miss my work at all. I find there's doubt and worry in anything and everything you do. There's kind of this negative voice that's always doubting and questioning a certain aspects of yourself or certain desires. Or like I had a hell of a time convincing myself that I should buy a motorcycle. Well, what the hell is that all about? Is that a midlife crisis? What are you doing? Are you crazy?
We land in Las Vegas, and it's going to be a 10-day drive. We're doing about 400, 500 kilometers a day. And about an 8-day ride, because getting there. But anyways, it's Gore-Tex, and if you fall, it doesn't rip. It's waterproof. This is a little rip I had. You can see, and a little slide off my motorcycle. And that's this.
But it's been one of the most fantastic things that I've done. I've met some amazing people. We're going on this great trip. It's all through southern United States, through Utah and places. I met really lively, alive people who started motorcycle riding at 65. Some who started very young. So there is always this nagging voice, I don't know what it is, that you have to fight. You have to kind of go with your gut and not with that sort of doubting negative voice that we all have. So you really need to fight that, and you really need to say to yourself, this is what tickles my fancy. I'm almost positive that I really want to give this a try, and do it. And if you fail and if it's wrong, well, so what? You've discovered something.
Wow, now I really want a motorcycle. Hopefully Bill will be all right on his road trip across the southern United States.
When I was in a motorcycle gang, all the members were beat up by a mysterious 11th grader.
Speaking of an adventure, have you ever played the Magic the Gathering?
No.
Well, maybe you should.
All right, yo, we're talking about magic cards. We're talking about the Power 9. We're talking about Moxes. We're talking about Black Lotuses. We're talking about it all, baby. It's all right here.
This is my friend Jordan. Every time we get together these days, he wants to play Magic the Gathering, a trading card game I know nothing about. He's obsessed with the game. Some friends of ours have even begun to take notice.
He just keeps challenging me to a match. I don't possess magic cards, I don't know how to play, but it's become a very contentious thing in our friendship, which I straight up don't know how to deal with.
We're talking about aberrations of horror. We're talking about Ravnica Block. Return to Ravnica Block. Gate crash.
I decided to find out what the heck he was talking about and learned a bit about the game for myself. After all, he's been my friend for years.
I've been playing Magic for about, I guess in total, probably about 2-3 years. I used to play back in the day for a solid, like, I'd say a good 2-year stretch, and I've just gotten back into it recently. Been playing for the last, year or so. I go down to A&C down on Spadina in College. Everyone thinks, you have this idea of Magic cards, and it's, these, extremely awkward people have never talked to anyone. And then it's yo, I go to Friday Night Magic, and it's oh, what do you do? And it's oh, yeah, I'm a lawyer. Oh, that's why you can afford $1,000 decks and stuff.
$1,000? F me. I reached out to a guy I know who works at a local card shop to show me the ropes.
My name is Carl. I was born in someplace in Jamaica in 1994, around the same conception as Magic the Gathering. When people like to shuffle things, they like to play this game. Magic the Gathering is very popular. It's arguably the most popular TCG ever created, next to the Bicycle 52 card deck.
TCG stands for Trading Card Game. The first thing I learned.
Today, I'm going to be teaching you about Magic the Gathering, developed in 1994 by Wizards of the Coast. So, Magic the Gathering player, or as I like to call you, Planeswalker. I'll be showing you how to command your deck properly. At the basis of every Magic deck is your mana base, which is made up of swamps, islands, mountains, forests, and plains. Aside from that, you'll be playing things such as sorceries, which you can cast during your turn. They are used to help you and hinder your opponent. Some creatures have abilities. Some are just big bears. Literally, grizzly bears.
It became clear to me that this game was extremely confusing. At least I'd found a worthy opponent for Jordan to face.
I've been looking forward to this for a while. I'm going to crush him, I'm going to annihilate him, I'm going to destroy him.
It should be good. See what's up. It'll be a nice test. Kick some ass.
Do nothing.
I'm just gonna fatal push that.
Oh, I'm dead as shit then. Yeah, fuck this game.
The match got underway. I did my best to follow the action.
City 4?
Yeah, most likely. I guess I'm gonna get a watery grave.
You fool! You've activated my trap card! I'm not even joking.
My time and efforts were wasted, but it couldn't all be for naught. I decided to ask an expert just what the appeal was.
I don't know the first thing about magic cards, and I have no idea why you're interviewing me about magic cards.
I went to ANC Games, a popular card shop.
My name is Matt Chow. I work here at ANC Games. We're at College in Spadina in Toronto.
I asked Matt a bit about the magic card scene.
The weekly tournaments are a very casual event. We run them all as 3-round events, so you play 3 different matches against 3 different opponents. And they're more just a social gathering for people to hang out and get to play the game in a slightly more competitive setting. Think of it as almost like a bowling league.
Well, I don't know much about cards, but I do know money. And the cost of some of these simple trading cards was through the roof. I had to find out why.
The prices come down to several different factors. One of the primary factors is supply, and so Mox Diamond is a card that's very old. It was printed in the mid-90s, and so there are very few copies in circulation, basically due to how much smaller the print runs were during that era compared to how large they are now. A card that was printed at a higher rarity, which meant that there are fewer of them per number of packs opened.
It was then I saw the lucrative opportunities in Magic cards. I bought a starter pack and was on my way to greatness.
I don't know if playing cards will produce any magic from me.
Well, to be honest, if you're looking for a magical transformation, you should work on your parents, my guy.
What do you mean?
Have you seen what you got in your head? Luckily, Nicole have somebody for you to talk about her boss. Let's look into it.
Hi, I'm Carolina, and I'm the owner of Hastings Barber Shop in Leslieville, Cabbagetown, and the Danforth. I'm really passionate in my life in any area about just creating amazing atmospheres for people to feel very comfortable. There was an article in, I think, Forbes or Maclean's or something, and it said the happiest professions in the world, and of which number 1 was hairstyling. And then number 2 was being the professor, and it went all the way down to the worst, which was accounting and dentist, in case you're wondering. I'm always doing a scan. I'm always just making sure everything is running smoothly and nobody's upset. If somebody walks in and they're upset, I try to like instantly kind of squash it. Like they'll walk in and they'll be like, I've been trying to call and I can't get an appointment. In which case I'm like, I'm so sorry, here's a gift certificate, come back next time. You know, we're just too busy, the phone's ringing off the hook. Just kind of like, yeah, cutting hair while micromanaging. Maybe it is surprising that a woman owns like a barber shop, which is kind of like a male-dominated profession. But, and then once they do find out that I'm the owner, they think that I have some kind of secret or key to success, or that I know something that they don't.
Because she's her daddy's daughter, so maybe you tell.
Yeah, it was surprising that she's such a good businesswoman. You know,
Yeah.
She inherited this after her grandmother.
His mom.
No, I think your mom.
Yeah. Because she was always like not easy girl, not easy child, and she wanted, she always did what she wanted. One day she decided to be a barber and open her...
No, she decided to be a hairdresser.
To be an entrepreneur, you have to be a rebel, because as soon as you start over-calculating and overthinking and really going into everything with a calculated risk and what could happen, then you're doomed. But with me being always kind of a risk taker and doing whatever I want, it's just kind of worked well with me. Because it's been almost 6 years, and I think I've proven the point that you don't have to be egotistical and on a power trip with your employees to make a business work. You can actually just operate a business on love and equality and you know, kind of being more of a co-op rather than boss and employees. Like, I think we're all in it together, and yeah, it just kind of works.
Please welcome Nicole Sanitas.
Thanks, Quentin. Come have a seat.
Okay, we're sitting? Cool.
Yes. How are you doing today?
I've been better.
That's
been
awesome.
better, but you know, the show's doing, oh, you hit me there. Show's doing good. How are you? How are you doing today?
Not bad.
All right.
Let's see what you have going on here.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You need a haircut.
It's
okay.
worse than you thought, eh?
For sure.
Let's
okay.
See. Oy. I don't own a mirror, so this is a little jarring for me. Yeah.
So what would we like to do with this?
You know, we'll take it around the sides, and then we'll trim a little on top. You know, maybe a 2 on the side. You know, I know my stuff.
Okay.
I know what I like. Maybe trim it up. Trim it up, do it up, you know, do your thing, right?
Awesome.
I'm not going to tell you how to work, but, you know, I am going to tell you what to do. So, Nicole, I'm very interested in how you got into this field.
For sure. Okay, so basically what happened was I was at a work party, my mom's work party, and she's a barber as well, and I met...
How was the party?
It was a great party, actually. And I met my boss, Carolina, there, and she said, hey, you know, I think you should try barbering. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So I started apprenticing. I would practice on my friend's hair, my brother's hair, and then eventually they just put me on the floor, and yeah, it's just lots and lots of practice.
Nice. And you didn't need to go to school for that, or like?
No, I just learned by watching.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully you practiced too. They didn't.
I did practice. I practiced a few times before I started cutting clients' hairs and stuff.
Yes. And I haven't had a lot of haircuts, but this one definitely feels good.
That's good.
So, is there anything? I'm sure there's a lot you like about the job.
Yeah.
You know, like cutting hair.
Yeah, it's just about making people feel good about themselves and just learning about people and listening to what they have to say. It's very rewarding.
It's very nice. It's almost like a therapist in disguise.
Yeah, sometimes.
So is there anything you don't like about the job?
I wouldn't say there's nothing that I don't like per se, but you know, you do get those difficult clients from time to time. But you know, there's nothing you can really do about that.
Difficult clients.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, who's more difficult, men or women? Like I know men and women can be particular about their hair, but who's more like, you know, aggressive towards it?
It depends, honestly. Some guys, they'll come in the shop, you know, they just want something simple, they don't really care, they just want to get tidied up, and then other guys will be a little bit more difficult about it.
Okay. Well, do you mind if I see what you got done here?
Yeah, we just did a slight trim,
Okay.
nothing too big.
Sick. Yeah, nothing too big at all. It still looks like it did. But I look better already. Going from one business to the next, our next doc looks at the little shop known as Excalibur Comics.
My name is Robert Chin. I'm the owner of Excalibur Comics, based in Etobicoke, Royal York and Bloor area. We've been in business since April 1987, so about 31 years this year. We cater to the comic collector. You know, we sell the new issues, the back issues, and trades and so forth. We also dabble in like sports cards, non-sport cards, and a bit of miscellaneous toys and coins and collectibles, other types of collectibles. But mainly comics is our bread and butter. We got into comics. My younger brother and I actually enjoyed the artwork and the stories. Me personally, I enjoyed the profitability of owning collectible books. Yeah, I was also a coin collector, stamp collector, so forth. So comics came in naturally. I got tired of working as a bookkeeper for a sound company. So I decided to open my own comic store. Back then, anybody could make money because disposable income was so high in Canada, 50%. It was quite good in the beginning.
It's your passion.
Yeah,
Because I heard you say you were your bookkeeper, but I have a couple friends in that program, or wanted to be bookkeepers. They're like, yeah, it's kind of boring as well.
Unfortunately, free trade happened. You've got Chrétien raising taxes 12 years straight. I thought it was always the too many covers. They used to produce like 10, 20 covers of one issue, and then collectors would just buy them up. I thought maybe that was the cause of the slowdown in the industry, but no, it was actually the disposable income. Canada had 5 record bankruptcies in a row in 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, and that was bigger each year. In 2009, the first 3 months in Canada broke 1999's record bankruptcy, just the first 3 months. And 2010, it seemed just like 2009, very bad, and I was going to close it down. But a lot of customers we knew since 87, over 20, 25 years, they kept telling me to do subscriptions. So I thought I sort of owed it to them. So right now we just mainly do subscriptions. Books or toys or whatever that the customers left on consignment, and we try to sell it to the walk-ins as well as eBay and so forth.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So many comics, so little time.
Oof. He stayed true to what makes him
Happy.
happy.
Moving on, our final story of the day is about my favorite guy in the world, legendary journalist Ted Barris.
Ted Barris once taught here at Centennial College, but since retired.
My name is Lindy Outard. I'm a professor in the journalism department here at Centennial, and I had worked with Ted for many years before he retired. He was a wonderful colleague. He is still a very good friend, and the office feels rather empty without him. He had lots of energy, always had time for students, always had great ideas, tons of energy, and we really miss him.
My name is Ted Barris. I'm 69 years old. I'm a freelance writer, historian, broadcaster, author, recently retired professor of journalism at Centennial College, and my life's work is writing. I've had lots of adventures as a writer, most of them in the last 20 or 30 years have had something to do with veterans. I'm always asked why I've chosen veterans as a subject so often. Well, when I started writing history, I was always looking for a story that had never been told. And more often than not, veterans had never talked about their experiences. That's almost a given. Whenever you talk about veterans, it's always that they never like to talk. They don't like talking about it. So my job was to get them to talk. And I found it very easy, and they felt comfortable with me. When I was doing research for my book about the Battle of Vimy Ridge, I had access to a number of boxes of files at the Library and Archives in Ottawa, the National Archives. And I found in the files a reference to a woman ambulance driver. And through a number of circumstances, I finally discovered who she was, because in those days, women were identified by their husband's name. So in the file it said Mrs. David Livingston. I eventually found out that her maiden name, her single name, was Grace Mcpherson. And her story was this, it was remarkable. She was the first woman in Vancouver to have her driver's license, and when the war broke out, she actually offered her services to the Red Cross to drive ambulances. They refused her. She went to England anyway. She manages to get an interview with the Minister of Militia and War, a guy named Sam Hughes, pleads her case, he refuses her, but then suddenly, in the middle of the war, all the conditions change, and the idea that men should be driving ambulances was changed because they would be better serving the war effort at the front. The ambulance driver's seats became open and Grace got her position. She actually became a driver, and her first night actually driving an ambulance was the 9th of April, 1917, the first day of the Battle of Vimy Ridge. The book that I'm working on right now is called Dam Busters, and it's about a famous military aviation raid in the Second World War where bomber pilots went into Germany under darkness and very low to the ground to bomb German dams, hydroelectricity dams. Most people don't realize, again, there was a movie made about it in 1955, and it makes the story seem as if it was entirely British. All English airmen, or virtually. Well, it turned out a quarter of the crewmen on all those airplanes that went in were Canadians. Probably the greatest honor in my life as a writer and as a person was to share this chair writing a book with my father, Alex Barris. And my dad and I co-authored a book called Days of Victory. And we wrote the original draft of this in 1995 when the world was acknowledging the end of the Second World War. That's why it was called Days of Victory. The war was coming to an end. And my dad and I, my dad was an entertainment writer. He covered show business for many, many years. He got the Order of Canada for his work chronicling the history of entertainment in Canada. But we connected on this book because he had been a veteran. He was a veteran. And I was curious about veterans. And so we brought our skills together for this book. And the honor was, when the book came out, it zoomed right to the top of the bestsellers list. And so there's my name with my dad on the top of the bestsellers list in Canada. And that was a great, great honor. When I was teaching, I had no time, because if I wasn't teaching, I was here. And if I wasn't here, I was teaching. And if I was somewhere in between, it was commuting from there to here. Time for sort of sitting around. I mean, I love to read. I read the newspaper every day. I listen to news and current affairs every day because I'm an information, addict. I need it. But when all of that's passed, I love spending time playing hockey. And I play hockey even in the summertime. In fact, I play tonight. And we play Monday nights in Oshawa. But in the wintertime, I'm playing 2, 3, 4 times a week because I just love it. And it's not because I'm good. In fact, I'm not very good. But what I love doing is skating and passing and the camaraderie that exists among recreational players. I wrote a book about it because it's such a neat aspect of Canada. We probably there's no other sport where women and men can play into their 70s and 80s and even into their 90s, can play the sport they loved as kids. I don't think that's possible maybe in cross-country skiing or swimming, but hockey is certainly distinctive by allowing older players to play the game they loved as kids.
Ted Barris taught right here at Centennial College before he retired.
And this show has been about following your passion and being true to yourself.
So it's only fit that we present to you a performer that follows their own passions. Give it up for Toronto-based poet, Burma.
When I was in the 6th grade, I attended my best friend's funeral and I did not cry. That same year, a teacher threatened to call my parents and I cried like a baby. Emotions are confusing. Like pencil crayon being erased, you will see the colors start to fade, but you will always remember what was once there. I'm a facade-wearing fighter. I will only show you the traits that remind you of my strength. Maybe it's a splash of toxic masculinity, but it fits me just right. Like forest green hanging off of my limbs when the scythe comes for my family tree. I will play the same black and white movie every single time, back of the bus, staring out of the window, listening to music. This will be the soundtrack to my protagonist monologue, or maybe it'll be less cinematic. Maybe it'll be 2 a.m. Twitter rants hiding behind crying Jordan memes, or 4 a.m. playing Pokemon trying to fill up my Pokedex of mindless distractions. To hide the bullseye on my brain that looks like Plutt Chick's color wheel. When my brain matter splashes against a wall, it'll look like a Picasso painting. Forensics will call art majors and hipsters to discuss the tangoing tones like, good grief, the blue is so deep. The green and red live in harmony like Christmas Day. He was an artist until the day that he died. Some days I dress up my talks like they are VIP at the Met Gala, making my ugly sins sound beautiful, but in fact, I am the ugliest boy that has ever lived, the worst kind of ugly. The type to laugh at your jokes, then cry after your party. I'm scared. Scared that you will find me before I find myself, and I'm not ready for that. Maybe that's why I try to find myself in the smiles of others. The happier you are, the less you worry about scars I wear on my arm. There's this old cliche I learned in high school. It says that the eyes are the window to the soul. Well, I have opaque blinds with only peepholes that I control. See, on some nights, the monsters in my head come out to play, and on those nights, well, those will probably be the nights where I play the most Pokemon or I get off the most tweets, because when you're scared of the monsters in your head, sometimes the best place to hide is in plain sight. Thank you.
Jeez, Burma.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. If you want more Journal, we'd love to have you, so hit us up at
www.centennialondemand.com. Stay tuned for our show tomorrow on the Journal. Peace.
This is a homage beat.